December 7th, 1941. The Japanese have attacked the United States Naval Base at Pearl Harbor, and now America has been drawn into the Second World War. This part of the history of World War II from 1941 to 1944 was made before the war was over. It was produced at a time when it seemed that the United States had overcome the tragedy of Pearl Harbor, and with its allies would now be able to overwhelm the dictatorships and bring freedom again to the people of the world. But we are far from victory when this history of American involvement in World War II begins. We, at what remains of the free world, are much closer to desperation.
There never was a blacker Christmas for the civilized world than the Christmas of 1941. Millions of people had lost their homes, their families, their countries. And millions more had lost their lives. Four-fifths of all the people in the world were involved in the greatest struggle in history. In Europe, Germany had occupied Austria, Czechoslovakia, and Poland, made satellites of Hungary, Romania, Bulgaria, and Finland, poured her troops into Norway, Denmark, the Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, France, Yugoslavia, Greece, and 50,000 square miles of Russian territory. Fascist Italy had seized Albania and Ethiopia in Africa. And even before these nations were overrun, Japan had occupied Formosa, Korea, and part of China. French Indochina, with the consent of the Vichy regime, had become a Japanese base. In violation of our treaties, Japan had fortified the Marshall, Caroline, and the Mariana Islands. Cordell Hull, American Secretary of State, had used every means at his disposal to check Japanese aggression. In November 1941, Americans hoped that his efforts were meeting with success, when the Japanese sent Saburo Kurusu, a special envoy, by plane to Washington. But Kurusu's trip was only a smokescreen. Even while the negotiations were in progress, Japanese aircraft carriers loaded with planes had started out for Dick. Pearl Harbor, December 7th, 1941. It was the logical target, this great naval base in the Hawaiian Islands, 2,500 miles from California, 3,000 miles from Japan. The sneak attack succeeded in sinking or damaging 19 American ships, destroying 150 planes and killing 3,077 men. By crippling this naval base, Japan became temporarily master of the Pacific, and Germany and Fascist Italy declared war on the United States.